All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the RTI Reaction Show. This is Ryan Schumpert. I'm Rick Butler here at the Food City Center. Tennessee picks up back-to-back top 15 wins in the SEC as they defeat number 15 Missouri here by a score of 85-81 here tonight. We're in a lot of different directions that we can go with this game, but just sort of starting it off in a broad way. Tennessee's offense scored 28 points in the first half, then rattled off 57 points in the second half. What did you see that allowed Tennessee to really kind of find its gear there in the final 20 minutes?
Well, I think there's a couple things. I think you start the most simple. I think Tennessee turned it over 11 times in the first half and 2 times in the first minute of the second half, and then I don't believe they turned it over again. So that's simple. Tennessee shot the ball really well in the second half. Granted, they did in the first half, too. I think they shot 3 of 4 from 3 in the first half. And then
I think it was 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Yep.
And then they got to 10 of 13 at one point for the game and then missed their final 2. So that right there is a good combination. I think in more specific terms than what I'm going to write about here when we get done, it's just, to me, this is a take I already had coming into this game, and this just reaffirmed it. I think Tennessee's best lineup is Zakai Ziegler, Chaz Lanier, Jordan Gainey, Igor Milicic, and Felix Okpara. I think they need to play Zakai Ziegler, Jordan Gainey, and Chaz Lanier together a whole lot more than they have. That's the lineup they went to. Jemiah Mashack fouled a three-point shooter about 50 seconds in. He came out. Those first four guys, Cade Phillips came in for a little bit. But those first 1 through 4, came in and played about the next 10 minutes together, and that's when Tennessee flipped the game. I think they outscored Missouri something like 36-18 in that stretch. Scored, as you said, what was it, 26 in the first half?
28.
28 in the first half. They scored 36 in about a 10-minute stretch for those guys on the court. Obviously, Tennessee doesn't have the depth to do that all the time, but I just think that's Tennessee's best lineup, and offensively, it's night and day its best lineup.
Yeah, and one thing that Rick Barnes said after the game, and I think you could notice this while it was going on, but you can certainly notice it if you go back and look at the replays, just that Tennessee was playing with a lot of speed. They were playing fast. They were playing with a good tempo.
Purpose.
Not to get everything carried away, but exactly. They were playing with a tempo for a purpose. It's one of my biggest pet peeves when driving. I feel like people aren't driving with a purpose
this is
to
terrible.
get to their
We've
destination.
talked about this before. It's a terrible take.
Just drive with a purpose, right? Don't drive to lollygag. Drive with a purpose, and that's what Tennessee was doing tonight.
You drive to lollygag.
Driving's not a scenic adventure. Driving is to transport you from point A to point B. You just need to get there.
We don't need to talk about this on the video, but if it's like a 4-hour drive, sure. If it's like a 20-minute drive, who cares about the 60 seconds you might save?
I'd say the opposite. I'd say the 4-hour drive gives you more time to be scenic.
That's crazy.
If I'm just going over to your apartment, right, to maybe pick up, a piece of equipment for a microphone or something like, I'm just trying to get there, and then I'll get back.
But you're going to save yourself like 30, 45 seconds at most. You can save yourself a lot of time by driving with a purpose on a long trip. You're not saving yourself any time driving with a purpose.
Right, but I already drive with a purpose. I need other people to drive with a purpose. Those people combining 30 seconds, that adds up. That gets you to 2 or 3 minutes. Zakai Ziegler and Igor Milicic Jr., to get back to the game, they were both out for Saturday's win over Florida. Despite the 20-point win, Tennessee was able to get it done. But boy, did they return to the court with a bit of a vengeance here tonight. They both combined for 21. Both had either a triple or a double-double or a near double-double, as Igor Milicic follows up that 21 points with 10 rebounds. Zakai Ziegler added in 8 as well. Just a big burst of energy for Tennessee tonight, and especially with Milicic. And his shots were dropping. I believe he hit his first 8 of the night. Finished going 8 of 10, so missed those final 2. But man, was he important for Tennessee to really get that momentum rolling. Yeah,
and he was one of the few guys that felt like was effective offensively in the first half. I think he maybe had 7 at halftime, hit a 3, hit a mid turnaround in the mid range. Something we haven't really seen a ton from him. So yeah, he had it going from the start, and I think that Tennessee's got a number of players that I feel like are kind of inconsistent, especially on the offensive end, but it feels like he's one of those bigger X factors that when he plays well offensively, Tennessee's just a different team, in part because he can score inside with his 6'10" frame more than a lot of Tennessee's players can. But then, like you said, he did a lot of other things well. He blocked 4 shots tonight. He had 5 assists. He just made a lot happen, and I do think that is one of his strengths. And Dennis Gates, Missouri's coach, talked about it after the game. He is, I can't remember the term he used, but basically the way he can affect the game without touching the ball a lot.
Sure.
And that's obviously a great skill set to have, and he did that a lot tonight on top of a really good scoring performance.
Points in the paint, but really just production in the paint was important for Tennessee tonight. Out-rebounds Missouri 38-30. And then when you look at points in the paint, Tennessee wins that battle 34-18 as well. So Tennessee was really able to kind of find a little bit of strength down low in the paint. be able to get it out to those open shooters.
Yeah, I think this was Jordan Moore had the stat on X after the game, and I might be butchering it a little bit, but it was something to the extent of Tennessee's 10-0 this season when they take 30 shots in the paint. They took 30 shots in the paint tonight. So that was a big part of it too. And look, you see that with that lineup I talked about. You spaces the floor more. It's the exact opposite of the conversation we had here 8 days ago against Kentucky,
Yeah.
where when you're not making shots and you can pack the paint, well, it's hard to score inside if people are just packing things defensively. When you got 4 shooters on the court, when you're shooting the ball well from the perimeter, teams have to extend. That opens up driving lanes. That opens up things. That opens up cuts to be able to score inside. So I think that was a big part of it as well. And yeah, just to that point, I mean, it's college basketball for you. 8 days ago, Tennessee shot 11 of 45 from 3. Today they shot 10 of 15.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat, and I was about to get back to that one as well because it just shows you. And I believe in that game, which they shot 11 of 45. Obviously, that's a lot of missed shots, but they only scored 53 points. 10 of 15 from the three-point line tonight gives Tennessee a lot more balance, getting up to that 85 point margin, or not margin, but just point number for the win. All right, any other kind of final thoughts? We have a Tennessee team right now that in the last 2 weeks suffered back-to-back losses against Auburn and Kentucky, was able to bounce back from that again with wins against Florida and Missouri. All 4 of those teams, top 25 teams. What's just sort of your impression on where Tennessee is right now and where they're going next?
Yeah, I mean, it's just every game's going to be a challenge, and you look at the schedule, this is an easier week on paper, but Missouri's a good team. They're 6-2 in SEC play coming in. They won in Gainesville. They beat Mississippi State in Starkville by about 20 on Saturday. And now you go to Oklahoma, which is probably Tennessee's 3rd or 4th easiest road game. But an Oklahoma team, I think, is on like the 8 line right now, according to most bracketology, so it's not going to be easy. So Tennessee's got to keep on trying to rack up wins, and there's really no such thing as a bad win this season in SEC play.
Hey, let us know in the comments below. Are you just a point A to point B like myself, or are you a little bit of a lollygagger like Ryan here? Let us know. We'll find out. But otherwise, Tennessee gets a big win tonight over number 15 Missouri right here in the Food City Center. Again, back-to-back top 15 wins over SEC opponents with Florida on Saturday and Missouri here on Wednesday. Hey, don't go anywhere. We still got a lot of Tennessee basketball content, news, notes, and coverage coming out to you. Again, Tennessee is going to be on the road on Saturday in Oklahoma, but I imagine we will still be covering it nonetheless. So be sure to be checking out for RTI coverage on that. This is Ryan Schumpert. I'm Rick Butler. Thanks for listening to the RTI Reaction Show. Again, number 4 Tennessee defeats number 15 Missouri by a score of 85-81 right here in the Food City Center.